What began in Cardiff as a celebration of Black achievement and poetic genius abruptly descended into a whirlwind of protest, tears, chants, and divisive response. The world is suddenly unable to stop discussing it. A night of hits and tremendous intensity was anticipated as Kendrick Lamar and SZA traveled to Wales as part of their grand national tour. However, the performance took a startling turn halfway through. According to witnesses, supporters started yelling political chants. Shaw appeared noticeably shaken and moved away from her microphone in the middle of a song when Kendrick abruptly stopped the music. Then, to the surprise of thousands, Kendrick gave a fiery, impromptu statement that has social media either praising him or condemning him, claiming he went too far or being a revolutionary. "This goes beyond rap," he said. "Do you want truth or silence?" The apparent victory lap tour stop is already dividing the internet and sparking discussions on protest, free speech, and the political importance of music. What was said by Kendrick? What caused the fans to cry? And what unexpected incident occurred off stage? The truth behind the most explosive concert in Cardiff is now being revealed. The guidelines for hip-hop performances have already been revised by the Grand National Tour. Fans anticipated music as Kendrick Lamar and SZA joined together for a historic journey across Europe. History in action. And up until they arrived in Cardiff, they were receiving precisely that. Often disregarded on the international touring circuit, Cardiff, Wales, has emerged as a major hub for the Grand National Tours. Spectators eager to see grandeur flock to the capital city from all over the United Kingdom. According to rumors, Kendrick and SZA's collaborative set list would include unexpected, never-before-seen visuals in addition to a brand new, politically charged remix of All Right. However, nobody could have foreseen how unfiltered, passionate, and contentious the evening would turn out to be. Let's go back. Tensions had been building in the UK before the Cardiff performance. Nationwide, ongoing demonstrations against government monitoring, police violence, and maltreatment of immigrants were growing more intense. With signs in hand and chants for justice, protesters have overrun city centers, particularly in London and Cardiff. This is where things become fascinating, though. Days prior to the performance, fans started texting Kendrick's management, pleading with him to make a statement. Twitter threads went viral during his performance. "We will be devastated if you remain silent in Cardiff. Kendrick, you speak to authority with truth. Your voice is needed in Wales. We are being silenced by them. Don't keep quiet." At the prior to the tour stop, SCA had released mysterious comments at the same time. In this city, one stuck out as having a lot of energy. "I'm wishing for clarification." However, what took place at the arena? Nobody had anticipated that. Normal, even ecstatic, was how the night began. SCA kicked off with a crowd-pleasing acoustic rendition of Good Days, Sleep, and an abundance of love. After that, Kendrick led the audience in a surge of excitement that rocked the stadium's walls with a thundering opener to DNA. Everything appeared to be set up for yet another Grand National night to remember. However, Kendrick takes a dramatic emotional turn with feel midway through the concert, and the atmosphere quickly changed as Kendrick rapped the last bars. "Doesn't anyone pray for me?" From the rear of the arena came a chant. It was dim at first, a few voices faintly discernible at first, then louder, then others joined in. "Justice for no. Justice for nitrogen monoxide. Monoxide of nitrogen. Monoxideofnitrogen.com. Security hurried. Kendrick halted. Tension ran through the crowd. SZA was still, her hand clung to her microphone. However, Kendrick instructed the band to cease their performance. The entire stadium shivered when he walked forward and urged, "Don't silence them. Let them speak." He was staring straight into the crowd. More opportunity bursts. Give the press freedom. Black Lives Matter. Put an end to the violence. Cardiff wasn't a concert anymore. It was a real-time movement. This is where things became very personal. Kendrick lifted his microphone once more and gave a wildly unconventional address that astonished admirers and rocked the internet. My hometown is Compton. I've witnessed what occurs when authority seems unassailable. I came here not to amuse you all. I'm here to remind you that I'm not safe with this microphone. However, you become a prisoner by remaining silent, applause, screams, and gasps. While some fans began to film, others began to cry. Some even left with the impression that the situation had escalated. Kendrick went one step farther after a guest wrote on social media, "I came for music. I left with a revolution." He gestured toward the large screen behind him, a mosaic of actual protest footage from Ferguson, London, and Cardiff illuminated it. Then, to the surprise of all, Ziv left the stage. The crowd went silent. Was she angry? I'm overwhelmed. Later, backstage leaks would show she was crying. Overwhelmed by the moment's political strain and the magnitude of the opportunity. Kendrick, however, continued. "Y'all ready for a remix?" he asked, gesturing to the audience. The beat of All Right fell, but fans were unaware of the version. This one included new verses and was slower and more straightforward. They informed me, "What's a monarch to a city where the people rule? Shut up in Cardiff." They warned me, "Watch my tone." The arena burst into flames. What started off as a performance evolved into an anthem. However, the controversy grew along with the opportunity. While some fans were upset, others were motivated. A number of venue employees allegedly threatened to halt the show early, and security was observed clashing with the event organizers. Then, suddenly, the police showed up. Yes, citing safety concerns about unruly crowd behavior and political incitement. Local Cardiff authorities pulled up backstage. Things reached critical mass at that point. Would Kendrick be shut down on stage in real time? Was this a full-fledged demonstration now? Cardiff will never be the same again. That much was clear. Everything changed when cops arrived in the Principality Stadium's backstage hallway in Cardiff. This was no longer only a chant. It was more than just sentimental. It had formally become political. The Grand National Tour, which featured Kendrick Lamar and SZA, was now in danger of collapsing live. Multiple staff leaks and backstage witnesses told us that SZA was crying and requesting to be taken to her hotel. She didn't sign up for this evening, according to her manager, who was overheard. She didn't come to lead a protest. She came to sing. Kendrick was refusing to get off the stage in the meanwhile. Let's go back. Kendrick stayed on stage for more than 2 full minutes in silence, just staring at the audience, holding his microphone, and allowing the opportunity to reverberate after dropping his modified All Right remix, which had strong, rebellious bars that explicitly challenged government persecution in both the US and the UK. Justice for night, peace with no. The system isn't working, Kendrick. Then, however, a fresh chant emerged from a particular segment. The video displays a collection of activists probably sat down on purpose to begin a more contentious call. Resigns, Sunak resigns. The police chief should resign. Put an end to the lies. The response came instantly. While some spectators booed, others joined in. Following a period of confusion in the arena, Cardiff city officials allegedly contacted the production crew directly to beg for an emergency end to the event because of what they described as a potential threat to public order. Speaking anonymously to a UK news agency, a member of Kendrick's production team said they were given a written order in the middle of the show that said, "If the political disturbance persists, you are also beyond this song. Pull power from the stage stream. Safety for artists comes first." Yes, exactly. Even though they threatened to cut his microphone, Kendrick refused to back down. He doubled down instead. The twist came next. He looked into the crowd and stated, "If they try to shut this down, y'all record everything. I'm not leaving until I finish what I came to say." He entered the audience after leaving the stage. Indeed, into the throng. Security hurried. Kendrick quietly stepped to the barricade and stood among the crowd while the tour crew panicked. No, Shaw returned. Yes, following her comforting backstage. She reportedly received a private text from Kendrick that said, "You don't have to sing, just stand beside me." She then went back to the arena floor. The floor she walked on, not the stage. Supporters approached Kendrick and grasped his hand. The audience went crazy. The Cardiff Unity shot is already being used to describe the event. A picture of Kendrick and the words with guards standing motionless in the background. They stood together on the stage, just him, with the truth in his lungs, his voice trembling and perspiration on his brow. No band, no lights. His spoken word freestyle will be remembered as a landmark in the history of hip-hop. This surpasses both charts and acclaim. This has to do with the suffering you all hide behind guards and regulations. My microphone becomes the boy's gravestone if he dies in the street and the news doesn't cover it. His court is my verse. The audience roared after freezing. SZA was sobbing even as she stood behind him, her hands covering her mouth. However, in the last turn of events, Cardiff police gave in. Yes, exactly. With everyone on the planet observing, the likelihood of higher authorities cautioned law enforcement from intensifying the situation due to the internet's explosion, citing concerns about the potential public relations catastrophe. Kendrick concluded the event with "Mortal Man," reading every phrase with goosebumps of passion, while the officers instead quietly departed the venue. "Are you still a fan?" Kendrick said as the lights went down, but he didn't say goodbye. He made no gesture. He just raised one fist in the air and pointed to the throng. Since Doc Cardiff evolved beyond a performance, the globe hasn't stopped discussing it. It became the focal point of an international discussion regarding protest, music, and strength. Even though Kendrick and SZA didn't say anything when they left that evening, their noise hasn't diminished. What followed would make the Cardiff event a global hotspot and start a firestorm in politics, social media, and the music industry. That doesn't seem to be going out of control, even if the performance alone wasn't enough to garner international attention. Incongruous headlines appeared in UK tabloids the very following morning. At his Cardiff gig, rapper Kendrick Lamar stirs up trouble, according to the Daily Mail. Kendrick, SZA, and The Guardian speak truth to power. Protest changes the Cardiff crowd. Police step in as The Sun and US stars cause commotion in Cardiff, as the show abruptly becomes political. Not only was Kendrick a performer, we appear to have been a political lightning rod. But the twist shocked me the most. A formal answer was given by the Welsh Parliament. Yes, you read correctly. A Senate MS member expressed worry about the use of major entertainment events as vehicles for political advocacy. Less than 12 hours after Kendrick left the stage, the initiative, titled "The Responsibility of Artists to Maintain Public Order," gained support in conservative circles. That wasn't all, though. Internal communications between the event's security and Kendrick's tour staff may have been released by someone, provider and local police, demonstrating that authorities had already reported Kendrick's performance. Because of recent fan posts and planned protests, they deemed the show to be at potentially high risk for civil agitation. To put it plainly, they were observing Kendrick. They were prepared to put an end to it and anticipated opposition. Fans were battling their own battle online in the meanwhile. Millions applauded Kendrick and SZA on one side for speaking up, refusing to be hushed, and allowing fans to vent their suffering. A lot of people shared videos of themselves sobbing, chanting, and embracing random people. It was a discharge of communal trauma. However, detractors, lawmakers, and right-wing media are accusing the artists of appropriating entertainment for political purposes, and even demanding that Kendrick be prohibited from performing in the UK going forward. Then came the celebrity floodgates. One user tweeted, "We came for music, not a TED Talk." Another user responded, "If you can dance to All Right, and ignore the message, you missed the whole point. The industry responds. Respect to Kendrick, Dave, the UK rapper. Voices louder than Parliament are what we need. Cardiff was required. The hip-hop of Stormy Kendrick is not American. He is now a worldwide resistance. He demonstrated the process for us. Meek. Don't go on stage if you're still afraid to. Talk about what's true. It's not art. It's an advertisement. Kabadoo Eric. Cardiff was heard by the ancestors, but then there was a twist that nobody had anticipated. Essa broke her silence with a moving Instagram live. Kendrick told me, even when you're not ready, truth shows up for you. She continued, looking directly into the camera. I walked off not because I was afraid, but because I didn't feel ready. Cardiff made the right decision that night, and I'm glad I returned. Then she affirmed the heavy chant. The unscripted scene will be made public as a part of the Still a Fan live documentary. Hold on, what? Yes, exactly. Apparently, Kendrick and Essa had cameras rolling during their whole performance in Cardiff. Backstage documentary crews, crowd recordings, and hidden microphones. According to experts, the performance will be the main attraction of a streaming release that is presently up for auction between Apple TV+, Netflix, and Prime Video. Even a Kendrick team member confirmed. This tour is documentation, he would always say. But before you start thinking this was planned, wait, because the next leak is coming. These are chapters, not shows. Proves that none of this was supposed to happen. An internal production memo that was sent out 24 hours prior to the show was leaked by a venue staff member. It contained no mention of protest footage, no approval for a slower version of All Right, and no indication that Kendrick or Sessa would deviate from the settled asterisk. However, there was a handwritten note in the margins of the paper that was scribbled in black Sharpie, was allegedly written by Kendrick himself. This city wants more than a performance. Give them soul. Give them fire. And then there was another twist. Several fan videos showed a hooded figure on stage left filming the entire time with a DSLR in fan forums. People have deduced that the camera operator is probably one of the original videographers from Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly short films. This suggests that Kendrick knew Cardiff might break open and wanted it captured on camera. What happens next? As of right now, Kendrick's next show in Dublin has been postponed indefinitely, and SCA has canceled 2 appearances, citing creative regrouping. Oh, and the Grand National Tour's official website has replaced the Cardiff setlist with a link: www.witnessourtruth.com. When the dust settles from Kendrick Lamar's now infamous performance in Cardiff. The global aftershock isn't just growing, it's escalating into something bigger than music. Public discourse is on fire. They told us to stop, so we spoke louder. Oh, and did we mention that over 25,000 people have signed a petition demanding that? Kendrick and SZA returned to Cardiff for a second free concert in honor of the protesters who stood beside them. It's called the Encore that wasn't allowed. Let's break down the chaos. Social media war. Zoa, Yacros, Twitter, X, Instagram, and TikTok. Reactions are divided. Both talk shows and news panels and debates, daytime and late-night TV, couldn't resist. Piers Morgan predictably slammed the performance, calling it a disgraceful hijacking of entertainment, laced with anti-police sentiment and political grandstanding. However, depending on who you ask, Kendrick either cemented himself as the voice of our generation or crossed a line that could permanently alter the future of live music. Piers, you labeled it a hijacking. Kendrick didn't hijack anything. He reminded us who really holds the mic. Even BBC's Question Time featured a Cardiff segment where local politicians, journalists, and professors debated whether Kendrick's protest speech was freedom of expression or civil incitement. And one academic from Oxford said it best. This wasn't just a concert, it was a historical collision between voice and system. Artists line up to take CD. Solange Knowles posted Kendrick's Cardiff Unity shot with the caption, "This is what art should do. Make you feel, make you move. Make." You recall? Childish Gambino altered his way of Twitter banner with the text, one word, witness, taken from the show's protest segment. But then came the first public backlash from within the mainstream. An unnamed Live Nation-affiliated artist posted and quickly deleted. "This is why we get silenced." Kendrick pulls this, and then the rest of us suffer in contract negotiations. Ouch. And let's not forget UK rapper Skepta, who posted a blurry backstage shot from the show. He wasn't even on the lineup. He told his captain, "I saw God that night," according to the Battle Bags. Members of the Welsh Parliament are divided on the issue of government versus artists and are demanding appropriate boundaries. Conservative voices advocating for concert content. Rules are driving the growing tension between artistic expression and political activity. But public pressure is growing against it. A #free counter-movement. The stage is becoming more and more popular worldwide. With more than 400,000 signatures, people are calling on governments to uphold artistic freedom despite civil instability. Human rights organizations such as Amnesty International have issued pro-Kendrick statements in the meantime. Music is not the end of freedom of speech. The suffering of the world must be reflected by artists. Spotify, one of the music streaming services I used for my DDL, reported a 400% increase in Mortal Man streams. Cents, okay? Also, Apple Music was upgraded for SCAS 20-something. The voice that stood in the middle of a music hall and challenged a nation should be featured in Kendrick's artist biography. Witness Live from Cardiff is now being promoted by YouTube Music. Entertainment industry dive dyro motors are shaken. Venues are reviewing artists' clauses. And a London-based executive told The Fader that what happened in Cardiff was powerful but also dangerous for business. The fan-stitched version of the protest freestyle, which peaked at #1 in trending within 10 hours, is reportedly preparing an official live drop in collaboration with Kendrick's PG Lang. It contains remastered audio of the entire protest moment with bonus commentary from both artists. Kendrick demonstrated how quickly an event can turn into a movement. Others are motivated. While Kendrick and SZA's management is keeping quiet, a tour director from Berlin tweeted, "Every artist I know wants their Cardiff moment now. That's legacy." There was stillness, no Instagram posts, no new press. It's a roaring silence, though. The wildest portion comes next. According to rumors, Kendrick got a secret message from the Foundation of Nelson Mandela. It wasn't a concert that you did in Cardiff. The world loudly heard the testimony. What comes next in all of this? Could Kendrick be banned in the UK? Will Cardiff be made into a feature-length documentary? Will this be the beginning of a global trend of protested performances? Or is Kendrick already planning to start a fire in another unprepared city with the next eruption? One thing is certain, regardless of what occurs next. In Cardiff, he did more than just rap. Just when the world was beginning to move on from Cardiff, he set the truth on fire. Early in the morning, while Europe was still in shock and the US, media was only starting to catch up, Kendrick attacked again. Kendrick Lamar's official website had a mysterious video that was subtly distributed to his label's email subscribers. PG Lang, just a link in the video, no social media posts or press releases. A blurry black and white reel of 26 seconds. Kendrick is shown with his back to the camera, hood up, wind howling, and standing on a rooftop. A faint heartbeat, then static, followed by the audio. Then he spoke. "Cardiff was chapter 1 ****. You guys got a match from me. Who will start the next fire?" Boom. It cuts. ***. That's all. No date, no credits, no background. Fans went crazy when they saw the file title, which was W1TN3S _but_N3 ver_silent. There were a lot of Theories on TikTok, the Witness trilogy begins here. Hey everyone, he's organizing surprise shows in more protest-heavy locations. He is energizing artists everywhere. The big twist, however, came after. A leaked image of a street mural that emerged overnight was shared by a Berlin-based Kendrick fan page. As he stood with SZA and protesters who had been painted into the side of a building adjacent to him, Kendrick's Cardiff Unity photo it, spray paint with 3 words. Paris comes next. Paris, burn louder. Will Kendrick stage a guerrilla protest? With his upcoming European tour, has a political movement developed out of the Grand National Tour? Or is this an out-of-control fan movement? Live Nation is rushing in the meanwhile. Internal communications that were obtained by an unknown employee showed that there was urgent coordination with Paris authorities to request crowd disruption, backup plans, and more police visibility for the Kendrick event at Core Arena. According to reports, the city is thinking about outlawing political signs and chants within the space. Will that, however, make a difference? Because no one was prepared for this section. SZA shared something on her Instagram story for the first time since Cardiff. It's just a white letter on a dark red square key. He set them on fire. They told him the truth. Let's give the remainder to them. Asterisk, no tag. A key. Fans understand what that means, even though there is no explanation or context. It's a real movement, so word is getting out. Furthermore, if Kendrick was just starting in Cardiff, and then Paris may blow out, the world is now waiting. Will the same set be performed by Kendrick? Will the government step in once more? Will this tour serve as a model for performances motivated by protest? A thread that was submitted by a fan has gone viral. Bowie possessed Ziggy. MJ had a thriller. Kendrick is a witness. It's not a tour. This represents the emergence of contemporary resistance music. Cardiff was the match, whether you agree with it or not. Perhaps the fire in Paris and Lamar Kendrick.